Good evening, I'm Maria Garcia. Thanks for joining us tonight. You may see more guns out in the open soon if Texas lawmakers pass two controversial laws that head to the state Senate soon. The campus carry bill would allow Texans with concealed handgun licenses to carry their weapons on college campuses. The open carry bill would allow licensed Texans to openly carry handguns in full view in places where guns are permitted. The Senate State Affairs Committee on Thursday voted in favor of the two gun bills, which passed on a 7-2 party line vote and will be sent to the full Senate in about a month. Despite opposing advice from Democratic leaders, some law enforcement authorities, and some university presidents, supporters say Texans have a right to protect themselves legally with open carry handguns should they choose to. Opponents argue it just takes one person who abuses that right for a tragedy to happen. Joining us tonight, Dr. Gary Edens, Vice President of Student Affairs at UTEP, James Peinado with the local chapter of Open Carry Texas, and Sam Morgan with El Paso's Democratic Party. If you have comments or questions for our guests, you can email us at ABC-7 Xtra at KVIA.com. You can also reach us by phone at 915-496-1775. On Twitter, tweet me at MariaGABC7 or with the hashtag ABC7Extra. Before we get to our discussion, let's take a look at this week's developments. College students across the state obviously have different opinions about guns on campus.
I feel like all students should have the right to self-defense.
Hey, do you support gun rights on campus?
I'm very firmly against campus carry. I would feel very unsafe knowing that there are people with weapons on campus.
I know a lot of people think if somebody's there, kind of Clint Eastwood style, he or she could step up and take care of it, but I just don't see that as a feasible solution.
Here in El Paso, about 50 people today held a walk showing their support of open carry laws in Texas.
We want unlicensed open carry of modern pistols. And I understand that I've heard, many people in El Paso find this controversial, people in Texas find this controversial, but Texas is surrounded by U.S. states which already have open carry.
And in the state capitol, the two bills go to the full Senate soon.
There's things that we've agreed on, things that we've disagreed on, and this is one that we both passionately disagree on.
Lawmakers are listening to leaders from across the state.
And I completely support concealed carry on campus.
McLennan County Sheriff Parnell McNamara says law enforcement can't be everywhere.
I think individuals have a right to protect themselves, their friends, their family, and loved ones.
But Austin's police chief and Harris County Sheriff Adrian Garcia testified side by side both against allowing guns into campus buildings.
You're going to have people running around with guns. We are going to be morally responsible with the outcomes when something goes wrong.
I also canvass educators that I know. None of them support seeing more guns on campuses.
All right, let's start our discussion now. Joining us again, Dr. Gary Edens, Vice President of Student Affairs at UTEP. Welcome. James Peinado with the local chapter of Open Carry Texas, and Sam Morgan with El Paso's Democratic Party. Thank you for staying up late and joining us on this discussion.
No problem.
So, James, I want to start with you. We just heard from some law enforcement officials. If we're hearing from some law enforcement officials, presumably are public safety experts, saying this is not a good idea, then why is it a good idea, you think?
Well, I would say that we've heard divided, actually. I paid attention to as much of the State Affairs Committee hearing that took place last Thursday. And from what I saw, the the Texas police chiefs, gave a general statement after doing a survey that they were against the idea because of security concerns that they have. Okay. I also saw reports from multiple county sheriffs across the state of Texas that said that they support this idea, that they support respecting people's rights, and they think it'll be a good for public safety. So that's a divided, issue, I guess, among Texas law enforcement. And then I would like to also state, like ABC interviewed a Secretary General for Interpol, who was asked about the recent unfortunate terrorist attack that took place in France after some political cartoonist or whatever. He was talking about how this is an international problem with terrorists and security concerns, and so they were asking him, because he's the Secretary General for Interpol, how do we get security? And he said, well, there's two options. We could have law enforcement guarantee that within the perimeter of their borders, their jurisdiction, that nobody inside the perimeter is armed. And so if you can guarantee that kind of security, then that's safe. But then if somebody gets through your security, there's nothing but soft targets within, and law enforcement might get there too late. He said option B was actually something that he endorsed, or he spoke in favor of. He pointed out the United States, and he pointed out other countries like Switzerland, where they have more liberal gun laws, and stated that an armed society could be beneficial if what you are hoping to achieve is safety and security.
But there's also obviously more gun deaths in the U.S. than any other country.
I would say, like, you know, a lot of these statistics that I've seen that talk about more gun deaths in places with more guns, I do believe that sometimes they skew the statistics. For example, the way they count Switzerland and Israel are just counted differently. And so I think statistics and more statistics, depending on who's making the statistics, things can be skewed to favors people with an agenda. But let's look at, you know.
But facts are facts, and the facts are that there's more school shootings in the U.S. Than other countries. And we're going to get to that in a little bit. But Sam, I want to ask you, Texas, one of 6 states that does not allow any form of open carry for handguns. Some people say that an open carry law would just be righting an ancient wrong in Texas. What do you think about that?
I don't agree with that at all. Open carry is an issue for a lot of facts, a lot of reasons. Number one, training and education. One of the things that we do when it comes to concealed handgun laws is we ensure that the individual has been trained and educated in the laws, the penal codes, and how they can carry legally carry legally, period. Being able to carry open, from our perspective, we take away that ability to ensure that the individuals that are carrying are properly trained and educated. Just based off the Second Amendment alone, the Second Amendment was written during a time and a period when we actually needed to be able to defend ourselves, to provide food for the table, there wasn't any law enforcement. There are just so many things that you can take and, as you said, skew from the Constitution, that it just doesn't make sense. It's a different time, a different age, and we need to make sure that people who are carrying guns understand the impact, the first, second, third, fourth order effects of carrying a firearm.
Now, opponents would say that a license to carry a concealed weapon in Texas is granted only to someone who's over 21 and who passed a criminal background check, ensuring that these are responsible individuals.
You still have people that slip through the system, but the bottom line is they do go through a background check. They do have to divulge information about their mental health, so on and so forth. But you know, we can't make the assumption that everyone is telling the truth. Okay, but that is not. If you're asking me if open carry is okay because of the concealed carry aspect of it, I disagree with it 150%. We as CHL trainers, instructors, have to ensure that the individuals meet a standard. They meet a standard, and the state has to do a background check on them. If the open carry was a viable option, then it wouldn't have to dovetail off of the concealed carry laws. You had a Senate Bill 195 where they advocated carrying open without any training or any education. It was shot down. Okay, you have to ask yourself why, the legitimacy of that. It was shot down for a reason, because it advocated carrying open without any training, any education. So you have to look at the merits of why the bills, or House Bill 17 is actually being written. It's dovetailing off of a law that is 180 degrees opposite of what they're intending to do.
Okay.
We can't carry concealed open at all, but yet and still you want to use the laws of legislation that is 180 degrees opposite of what you want to do. Doesn't make sense.
Okay, I want to talk about guns on campuses. The UT chancellor says concealed guns on college campuses would make universities essentially less safe, he said. But the Texas A&M chancellor wrote a letter disagreeing with that, essentially saying he doesn't really oppose concealed guns on college campuses, saying it comes down to trusting students in staff, which he says he does. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, two chancellors of a big university system disagreeing on this issue.
Well, I respect both sides, and I respect my colleagues that are with us tonight, and it's not really that surprising that UT Austin and A&M are against each other on some issues. But I'm not a gun expert. I'm a campus expert. And when I speak with our law enforcement officials, our campus police at UTEP, when I talk to our mental health professionals, our University Counseling Center, our conduct officers, our faculty, staff, our students, all of them, to the vast majority, are saying that more guns on campus will make them less safe and more uncomfortable. And at UTEP, what we're trying to do is provide an environment where students are safe, feel connected to the campus, where they can focus on what they're there for, which is to get their education. And while I respect both sides, what is most important for me is the safety of our students. And more guns on campus, just as our chancellor has said, makes for a less safe environment.
What about the students, the individuals who say that allowing guns on campuses would allow someone to deter someone who had started basically a shooting at a campus?
Well, that's the genesis of the debate, is whether it's a deterrent or elevates the violence on campus. What we're concerned with, especially from our law enforcement officials, is they go into a hot situation, a dangerous situation. Students are pointing guns at each other. They have to figure out who's the bad guy, who's the good guy. We have high-level labs at UTEP, for example, that have high-pressure gases and viruses and different things that we are doing and conducting research on. We don't want guns in those environments. You know, a university environment is one where, again, you want to feel comfortable, you want to feel connected, you want to feel safe. And guns in that mix, many of our folks on campus feel like is problematic.
Okay. James, speaking of that, I have to ask you about this. The alleged shooter in the deadly shooting at the University of North Carolina on Tuesday reportedly was a concealed carry permit holder, sure. Which some say proves the point of those who warn about guns on campuses, that it takes one individual to turn this privilege essentially into a tragedy. Mm-hmm.
Well, my response is, you know, first my heart goes out to the families who lost family in that incident, but at the same time, I still believe that, you know, in our society, and the concealed carry population of the United States or of Texas is, you know, statistics, you know, it's very broadly agreed upon that that demographic of society are among the most lawful, law-abiding citizens of our nation. And so, you know, I'm in support of HB 195, but at the same time, we would like to, you know, offer to concealed carriers, and we have many CHL instructors in our organization as well. You know, we would not be taking away any rights from those people who have concealed handgun licenses, and we believe that that extra training, you know, should give them allowance to enter into sensitive areas of our society. So, you know, you can try to say, you know, we were going to have a ban on guns in this sensitive area, but the only people you're holding back are law-abiding citizens. Law-abiding citizens are going to respect those laws, but if you have criminal intent, it's never going to be what stops people.
Okay, we got an email from Albert who apparently agrees with you. If people with evil intent are illegally carrying handguns, what is the harm in good people carrying weapons openly or concealed with or without license on or off college campuses? Let's go to our phone lines. We have Mondo and Clint on the line. Mondo, what's your comment or your question?
Yes, I just want to comment that there's no necessary to carry handguns to a university or a school or anything like that. You're there to get an education, not fail a test or something to where I'm going to pull out a gun and take it out on somebody else. Thank you.
Okay. You know, there is this argument that I think Mondo alluded to it, that already on college campuses there's an environment saturated with youthful impulsiveness, social anxieties, alcohol in the mix. UTEP is a commuter school, but we see that a lot in schools with more dorm rooms. So that combining a gun with that sort of youthful impulsiveness, alcohol, social anxiety is just a recipe for trouble.
That's what a lot of people say. I believe that these are, a lot of people who oppose getting less restrictive gun laws often make a lot of hypotheticals about all of the horrible what-ifs that's going to happen if people are given more liberty. We saw this in the 1990s when Texas finally got its right to conceal carry back. A whole bunch of hypotheticals were created about all the horrible what-ifs, and for the most part, the CHL program has been a massive success in this state. And I saw some of these reports
Can you just remind our viewers what CHL is for those who are watching?
Concealed handgun licenses. And you know, I've heard some of the concerns of the students at UTEP who say that they would feel uncomfortable knowing that there's guns on campus. Well, you know, with this law, campus carry, it would be concealed. They would have to get a license. And so the students wouldn't see who is carrying. They would be concealed. But, I mean, how am I supposed to take seriously, like, do they have this fear when they go off campus, where in the rest of society people have CHLs, but when they enter campus, all of a sudden they feel like, oh no. And to the argument about the irresponsible college students, again, we're not looking to change the requirements for CHL, and so you still have to be of age, and you have to have a very clean criminal record, almost practically no criminal record.
Do you have any? Do you have anything to say to that?
Well, I think you spoke to it earlier. A campus is a different environment than just the general public. Students are in high-pressure situations. They're taking final exams. They're in high-level research opportunities. The faculty and staff are having, you know, conversations with students constantly, sometimes heated conversations, because that's part of the learning process. You're debating constantly different viewpoints. You're learning from different folks. And so, you know, what we want to do is provide an environment where that's free and open. And the question really is there a place for common sense regulations on some of these constitutional rights, these amendments? And that's just as in the First Amendment, you know, you don't have a right to yell fire in an auditorium. You know, are there common sense restrictions that we want to place on the Second Amendment? Do we want guns everywhere, or are there places where guns are just not appropriate? That's really the question, and I'm glad to see that the legislature is debating that. Of course, we'll support whatever decision they ultimately make as a state institution. That's our responsibility. But we ask that you know, folks listen very carefully to those most impacted, which are the students, the faculty, and staff on the college campuses.
Okay. Speaking of the Second Amendment, we have an email on that. We're going to come to that after this commercial break. Stay with us. You can reach us at 496-1775. Email us at ABC7Xtra@KVIA.com. We're on Twitter. I'm at Maria G ABC7 or with the hashtag ABC7Xtra. More of your phone calls too after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to ABC7 Extra. Tonight we're talking about gun laws in Texas. We have an email from Lisa. She writes, the Bill of Rights are guarantees of individual freedoms. The Second Amendment is quite clear in its statement that we have not only the right to own, but also the right to bear firearms. In fact, the language is as strong as it can be, with the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Any license requirement to carry a firearm violates the Second Amendment. Sam, I want to ask you, a supporter of open carry told lawmakers this week, and he was quoted a lot, "I will walk until my feet bleed to make sure you are never elected again," if they opposed open carry. And you know, voters very clearly spoke at the polls. Texas voters this last election. I mean, the Texas legislature very Republican right now. And what if Texans, the majority of Texans, truly do want to go in this direction? They support Republican values and they support open carry.
Then they need to go to the polls and vote. It's as simple as that.
But they did go to the polls, and they voted for conservative lawmakers.
They did vote for conservative lawmakers, but that doesn't mean that they voted for everything that those conservative lawmakers believe and feel in their own personal hearts. There has to be a sense of there has to be some common sense and good judgment that goes with all of this. What my biggest concern is that the open carry laws cannot stand on their own merit. Hence, they have to dovetail off of concealed handgun laws in order to remain relevant. And anyone who can't see that they're sliding this bill under the wire here you should be concerned about them. The individual who wants to walk into his feet believes, he should walk into his feet believes, because that is what he believes in. But at the same time, we have to make sure that the public good is being taken care of here as well. Ask yourself, why would anyone who has a concealed handgun license want to carry open? Okay, the initial genesis, as you will, that brought this up was that it's my right. Okay, the part that everyone keeps omitting from that Second Amendment is to raise and arm a militia. Okay, that's the part that everyone keeps omitting. There's no need for that. We have the National Guard, we have the reserves, we have the military. I am a retired military, 21 years in the military. Spent my time doing exactly what we need to do. If you live in a country and you're so fearful of your own government that you believe that you have to rise up in anarchy to defend your rights, something's wrong here.
Okay, I want to make sure we get to the phone lines because we have a lot of callers, so I just want to get through several. Let's go to Vincent in the Northeast. Vincent, what's your comment or your question?
Hello, I'm a firearms instructor, and I'm against open carry because there's a lot of people out there that are not trained to handle weapons. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vincent. That was Vincent from the Northeast with a comment. Let's go to Tim on the East Side. Tim, what's your comment or your question?
I'd just like to address, the safety on the campuses. If a criminally insane person or someone who's trying to commit a criminal act on a campus knows that those are on the campus, they're not going to go there, and they're not going to try and threaten those students if they know they're armed. Thank you.
Thank you. And Gary, it comes back again to this cyclical argument. Is it a deterrent or does it encourage violence? And I think what Tim from the East Side is getting at is that colleges are vulnerable precisely because predators with a gun know that people on a college campus aren't armed.
Well, and that's why we have a trained, university police department as well to provide the safety and security that our students very much need. And so my point is that I'd much rather have those trained security personnel deal with those situations, and they do active shooter training, they do all kinds of training throughout the year to prepare for these kinds of situations, and UTEP is an extremely safe campus because of their efforts. I'd much rather have those individuals take care of these matters than a student or a faculty or a staff member in the heat of a moment making those decisions.
I have to ask, for individuals who are thinking of all of the school shootings and are saying, well, but in a lot of cases, that hasn't worked. I mean, unfortunately, as trained as they are, campus police officers just can't be everywhere at once.
They can, but a campus is much different than an elementary school or a high school as well. We have security personnel and processes in place to deal with students that pose a danger to themselves or to others. And again, when we talk to the professionals, our mental health professionals, our security professionals, they all say that adding guns is adding fuel to the fire, that it makes the campus less safe. It provides an environment that students don't want to be a part of. They want a more comfortable campus environment where they can connect and focus on their studies.
And James, I have to ask you about this because we heard, Texas lawmakers heard from the families of school shooting victims, several of them from Virginia Tech, some even from UT Austin from the 60s. And what about all of the school shootings in the U.S.? The children who have died at I mean...
It should be addressed.
I mean, yeah, the children who have died at the hands of guns and their parents who say, enough.
I would say always with these incidences, my heart goes out to the families who lost loved ones, but self-defense is a responsibility that we need to encourage our culture to take responsibility for. People should be encouraging a healthy gun culture for gun safety and for taking responsibility for your own personal safety and the safety of your loved ones. When I have kids, I'm going to see if I can go to a school district that allows teacher and faculty that are licensed and trained to be able to protect my child when he goes to that school, because I don't want my family to be vulnerable as a soft target where, you know, no one's allowed to protect them. And it's good that we have campus security, God bless them, but taking away a person's inalienable right to self-defense, this right is just a part of the fabric of our nation and a lot of things that we believe, and it extends to other countries as well. I want to kind of touch on what he said about the militia and the Second Amendment.
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you.
No, it's okay.
We just have to go to a commercial break. My director's getting on my ear. But we're going to get to that when we come back, and also more phone calls, so stay with us. We're at 915-496-1775, on Twitter at Maria G ABC-7, and ABC-7 Extra at KVIA.com. Stay with us. Welcome back to ABC-7 Extra. We have limited time now, so I want to get to the point that you were getting at, and then we have to go to our caller. So if you want to, talk about the militia.
Just to get real quick, and this is pertinent because the way the Senator Jose Rodriguez reads the Second Amendment as well, it needs to be addressed. We believe in that part about the right to bear arms shall not be infringed, but in defining a militia, you could look up U.S. Code. I want to say it's Title 10, Statute 31 or something. It defines a militia as in two ways: as the National Guard that's organized, and it also defines it as unorganized militia. And really, every well able-bodied person of over the age of 17 should be considering themselves the militia, and it should be everyone's responsibility in this republic to be looking out for the civil rights and liberties of each other. And part of a necessity for that is that we be allowed to be armed and take responsibility for that. You know, we should take responsibility for our own self-defense. And this extends to other things. The militia should be looking out for all kinds of rights, whether it be, what you choose to consume in your own body, who you choose to spend your life with. Like the militia, in seeking to protect each other's rights and respecting each other's rights, we deem that our citizens should have the right to be armed.
Sam, do you want to respond to that?
I'm just curious. So are you advocating that civilians
Yes.
take up arms to defend themselves against what? I'm kind of curious as to what you're going to defend yourself against.
It's an excellent question, and it's as relevant today as it was 250 years ago. That, to try not to get into too many details, government bodies at all levels have taken it upon themselves to, whenever there is a disaster or there's a way that people are afraid and feel the need for more security, we justify the giving up of all kinds of rights and liberties. And so we see the creation of an expanded NSA going into our personal property, emails and stuff like that, searching us without a just warrant. Or we see the TSA checking everyone as they go into the airport. Every time there is a disaster, society chooses to expand government ever more. And then there's the Huey P. Newton.
I have to prevent someone from monopolizing the conversation.
I understand where you're going, and I served my country for 21 years as a Green Beret and an Airborne Ranger. I carried a gun. I train people to carry concealed handguns every day. This is what I do.
You should be honoring your oath and
I am
defending
honoring my oath, and I am defending my rights. But what I don't understand is how you can justify passing legislation that can't stand on its own merit. That doesn't make sense. Okay, you want to carry guns openly without any training, without any regulation. You already have the right to carry a long gun, an AR, a shotgun. What's the significance of a handgun? I don't understand that.
There are people in our society, in El Paso even, who have been, or women have come up onto our Facebook group who have been taken advantage of, raped even. and they say that they moved out to Chaparral, New Mexico, and other places because they like the fact that they can now openly carry in New Mexico, and they feel safer. And it's a way of deterring crime.
Okay.
And they feel
Can you feel the same thing with concealed handgun?
For some people,
Or is it
open,
an intimidation factor?
It deters. You know, like,
is it a deterrent or an intimidation?
It's not meant to be intimidation. It's just meant to say, like, I'm somebody who's decided to show that I'm willing to defend myself. And it shouldn't be seen as I'm trying to intimidate other people. It's just saying I'm chosen to take responsibility for my own
And the 1,000
self-defense.
people that I've trained over the last 5 years have chosen to defend themselves, but they don't have to carry a gun in the open. They carry a firearm. Every time that I've ever been in your presence, with the exception of tonight, I've had a gun on me. Did you know that?
And it's sad that we think that our safety, I mean, the fact that everyone is concealed carrying kind of hides the fact that, you know, concealed handguns, guns, are in part responsible for so many persons' safety. Okay. Why do we hide it? We should.
Okay, I just have to go through, we have a lot of response from Twitter. I want to make sure we get to these viewers. From Alfred, he says, disarming the law-abiding citizens only emboldens the criminals. Also, he says, more gun deaths committed by criminals, not law-abiding citizens, really. Eduardo says, knowing that a student is carrying a gun in a classroom will disrupt the learning environment. John says, I believe in the Second Amendment, but allowing open carry in college would be a time bomb waiting to occur, i.e. Virginia Tech. Eduardo says, is it possible that some students may use carrying a gun in a classroom to intimidate fellow classmates or instructors? Bad idea. And then let me go here. From Adrian, if someone has intent on committing a crime and they see a law-abiding citizen openly carrying a gun, I guarantee they will think twice before committing said crime. It's stopping a problem before it happens. Eduardo says, compared to other parts of our society, college campuses are still relatively safe. Introducing more guns will make it less safe. There are far more effective strategies to prevent crimes on campus than having people carry guns openly. And please save this show and show it to Mr. Peinado when he indeed has children. And let's see if he repeats what he just said. I think he was referring to choosing a school where they could carry. I just want to make sure we get to this one caller, Michelle in Chaparral, because she's been waiting for some time. Michelle, what's your comment or your question?
Yes, I used to live in El Paso, Texas, and I was raped 3 times and stalked. But since I've lived in New Mexico and I've open carried, I have been treated with the utmost respect. And I'd like to be able to cross the line without having to worry about whether, to take it off or not. Thank you.
Thank you. Sam, would you like to respond to Michelle?
Yeah, my condolences. I'm so sorry for you. But my question to you, could you not feel the same safety with a concealed handgun license? You should be able to. I mean, what's the difference between wearing it on my leg or wearing it on my hip? I still have access to that gun. I've been licensed and carrying a firearm for 15 years here in El Paso. I've never had cause to ever use it, pull it, and you know what? I don't need the intimidation factor of the gun to be who I am and responsible for the safety of my family or myself. I don't understand.
We have a question also from one of our viewers saying, is open carry the same as brandishing a weapon?
Yes, it is, because brandishing a weapon is only applicable, maybe it is not. Brandishing a weapon is only applicable to concealed handgun holders. As a concealed handgun licensee, your gun has to be concealed at all times. At no time is any part of that gun to be visible to anyone. Okay, so are they the same? No, they're not. Open carry would be literally open carry. These individuals could carry their guns openly whenever they want into any establishment that doesn't ban concealed handgun licenses or guns. 30.06 signs, those are private businesses that allow them that do not want us to carry firearms in there, and we have to respect that. So you can't carry a long gun in there either.
And we respect private property.
And it keeps going back to what I'm saying is, why are we allowing our legislators to potentially pass a bill that cannot stand on its own merit. It doesn't have any merit, is the reason it's been shot down. That House Bill 195 you were talking about,
Yes, sir.
It can't pass on its own, and I don't understand how elected officials could be intimidated and bullied to the point to where they're going to, or they do it willingly because of lobbyists and so on and so forth, allow a bill to pass that cannot stand on its own merit. If you have to dovetail off of concealed handgun laws in order to carry a gun open, then that tells me that that law is not legitimate.
Okay.
And anyone who votes for it should be run out of office.
Okay, all right. We're out of time. It sounds like you have something to say. Can you wrap it up really quickly?
If there wasn't popular support for more gun rights in the state of Texas, why would the head of the Democrat ticket in Texas, Wendy Davis, have in her platform said that she supported, at the time, open carry? If there wasn't popular support, why during the campaign would she have made that a part of her platform in the Democrat Party?
And Wendy Davis was not elected.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We're out of time. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Edens. We appreciate it. Thanks for watching ABC-7 Extra. We hope you found this program informative and helpful, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.